Hey, this is the C&D channel. I'm Chris, and this is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my post-fight analysis for MFC 29, and I'll also do, on this same post-fight analysis, I'll do Bellator 40, so I'll mix these two into this broadcast. So, but before we get into that, I'd like to thank our sponsor, GoBusiness123.com. DeMarca Sunglasses of Laguna Beach. Support your local mom and pop shops. And DeMarcaUSA.com as well. So let's get started with MFC, and then I'll go into just the three major fights in Bellator. Okay, first fight of the card of MFC was Ali Makhachev defeating Andreas Spang by rear naked choke in the first round. I was told by one of my viewers that I should look out for Mr. Ali the Monster Makhachev, and I most definitely will now. One thing that's really interesting, he's a middleweight, and I was looking at through the MFC middleweight division. There's just a lot of former UFC guys, but they don't have a lot of their homegrown talent there. And MFC, like Ryan Jimmo or Douglas Lima or Ford or like Dwayne Lewis or Manuel Newton, they'll mix in their homegrown talent with these former UFC guys or former guys with names. Makhachev, he's not a former UFC guy. Hopefully, I don't think he should be fighting like Talus Ladies or like who else they have, like Travis Looters in there, David Heath, maybe David Heath, who knows. But there's, wait, I think he fights at 205. My bad. But just looking through the list, I think this is definitely a homegrown guy that they should probably groom. I don't even know if they have a middleweight champion, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, definitely, I'm gonna look out for this guy, Mr. Makhachev here. Okay, next fight after that is Secret Weapon Pete Spratt defeating Demi Deeds. Deeds was getting the better of the stand-up around like the first round, and then Spratt just turned it on in the second. He won by armbar. That was pretty cool. It was a slick armbar too. So I was really happy to see Pete Spratt win this. He's a welterweight, so I kind of wonder if they're gonna do like Lima versus Spratt here. Good win by Spratt. His stand-up. He was getting hurt a couple times, but then he rallied back in the second and ended up just beating up on Deeds and finally getting that submission victory. That's cool. And what's cool is the next fight, Emery Franca beats Robert Washington by KO. You would think Franca would be the one to win by armbar, and Spratt to win by KO. Emery's obviously he has KO power, but good win by him. Washington had the strategy of not like really going two balls out, lots of movement, but he was so far outside the pocket. It's not there's a way of staying in the pocket and staying active and moving and circling, but staying within range. Washington was like outside of range. He wasn't in range to connect anything really. So that's the thing. It's something I just kind of noticed with Washington. Good win by Franca. His technique, stand-up wise, is pretty sloppy, but he has massive power. I didn't even see the punch. I was like, whoa, he got this punch in there. I was like, wow, I knocked him out. So it's pretty cool. Lightweights, Emery Franca versus Marcus Davis won his fight against Curtis DeMarc by split decision. So maybe they'll do Emery Franca versus Marcus Davis. Antonio McKee is back in the promotion, so one of those guys versus Antonio McKee. Can see that. As far as the Marcus Davis bout goes, I think Marcus Davis should have got the unanimous decision. I don't think there's anything that showed me he got the split. His knees, he is getting those knees in so many times. I think youth really saved Curtis DeMark more than anything, because like he was getting, I mean, he was running into knees. I mean, it was pretty crazy. Once again, Marcus Davis, he's still solid, you know. This fight kind of showed me why he's not a UFC caliber guy anymore, though. I love the guy, you know, but he definitely, like I said, I really feel that Marcus is a good fit in MFC. Like I said, he can fight Henry Franca. There's other lightweights in this in MFC as well that he can fight. Matt Veach, I think he fought in here. That'd be pretty interesting. Who else? All the guys that pretty much Antonio Macia's beat in MFC. Jeez, I can't remember any names at the moment. But then we'll go into our co-main event as Ryan Jimmo beat Zach Cummings by decision. It's Ryan Jimmo. He's a very conservative fighter. He has a boring label to him. He's been undefeated. He's a good fighter, but he doesn't have that like killer instinct. He doesn't take too many risks, but he's winning. And but he's not very offensive either. He's more defensive minded. Just the way he moves, the way he controls distance, you can tell he's more of a defensive fighter. Be interesting to see where he goes. Once again, like I do feel that he could actually fight into UFC, but only as a mid-tier. And fights like these kind of just prove that theory. That like he has good striking, his takedown defense is good. He can work a clinch game. His jiu-jitsu game is good. He's very solid. I think that he's pretty well-rounded, and that's why I think he would work into UFC. Stylistically, he's kind of a boring fighter, of course. But he definitely has the skills, but like there's not anything in him that's next level. He doesn't have any next level skills. Like his striking's very good, but it's not great. It's not something to be feared. It's not like he has crazy power or he has crazy wrestling, or like don't go to the ground with this guy. However, in the main event, as Douglas Lima beat Terry Martin by TKO, I think Lima is the opposite of Jimmo, where like if Lima went to the UFC, like he could do really well there right now. It's when he gets up that you gotta wonder how he'll do against the wrestlers. But I mean, his striking's coming along, his Muay Thai's really coming along, and you don't want to go to the ground with Lima. I mean, he's pretty crazy on the ground. He won this fight in the first round. And once I saw the punches that connected on Terry Martin, and he fell on like one knee, and then I was like, oh man, it's over. Lima won by strikes. So he's really tall. He's like 6'1", but he's really lanky. And then his jiu-jitsu game is really good. His stand-up game is really good. Getting better. His wrestling game is the thing that needs to improve. But he's only 23. I mean, I definitely see a bright future for Lima. He's really good, and he's really progressing really well. A couple title defenses here or there in MFC would be good for him. Like I said, wouldn't mind seeing him fight Pete Spratt. That'd be pretty cool. Spratt versus Lima. I think Lima would win, but it'd still be pretty cool. There's other guys that Lima can fight. I think Spratt just lost his last fight to I forgot his name in MFC, and I forgot his name. Name escapes me, but there's other welterweights that they can find for Lima for sure. So yeah, that's it for the MFC post-fight analysis. Now I'll go to Bellator. I'll start with Michael Chandler versus Lloyd Woodard. Michael Chandler is Sean Shirk 2.0. I mean, short, stocky, go forward, You know, I think he has a little more inclination to finish, which is really cool. You know, his stand-up needs work, but it's not. I mean, he would go for the leaping strikes. Chandler would, but like, you know, he'd throw some right crosses that would connect. He threw a couple uppercuts here or there that connected. His stand-up's not bad though, and he's still really young, in age and in MMA. So I mean, even you know, it's an improvement to see a wrestler's stand-up game to improve. You know, I mean, it's just good to see that. You know, like I said, he's like Sean Shirk 2.0, man. This guy just keeps pushing forward, pushes you against the cage, gets that take, pulls you from the cage, you know, grabs the leg, pulls you from the cage, and he's just on top of you, man. And he's really good. I see a really bright future for Chandler. You know, I think he definitely is a hot prospect to look out for. But the guy he's going to be fighting, Patricky Pitbull Fury, good stand-up, good jiu-jitsu. I said it before, I think that Chandler will test Patricky's takedown defense and his ability to get back up. I really hope. I remember his brother Patricio, when he fought Joe Warren, that Patricio was really content to stand his back. I really wish he'd scramble up more. I want to see what Patricky does, or you know, or maybe he'll just keep the fight standing, and that could give trouble for Chandler. Chandler brings a lot of pressure though, so it's a really interesting matchup. I'm really glad we'll get to see Chandler versus Patricky Fury. I think that'll be a very interesting fight. After that, Jay Haran beat Brent Weidman by decision, 29-28. So this was a pretty close fight, actually, around the second and third round. Jay Haran was on his bicycle. Brent Weidman would push forward. Haran would show some pretty good boxing skills. He shot for a couple takedowns, but he didn't really. I don't think he really committed to the few he did around the second and third round. He was playing some front headlock games. He had some front headlock skills, as well as he was working for like a Dars and other types of chokes in the first round. So a good win by Jay Haran. Got to see a good amount of his skills here too. Be very interesting to see how he fights Rick Hahn. Rick Hahn really pushes forward. His stand-up isn't the greatest, and I think Jay Haran has better stand-up. I'm curious to see if there's going to have a lot of grappling. I could see a lot of clinching in Hahn versus Haran. For some reason, I kind of see that happening. It's just like where one guy will shoot for a takedown, can't get it, you know, be stuck in clinch for a while. They might just keep it standing, but you know, it's really tough to say. And then finally, Ben Askren beat Nick the Goat Thompson by decision. Ben Askren, I mean, there's not really much to say about Ben Askren that I haven't already said. Great wrestling. I mean, this guy can take down just about any welterweight at this time. The other thing held true when I said my predictions. I didn't think Thompson really there isn't anything about Thompson that really threatens Ben Askren. I really wish they got someone else for a super fight. So, Askren's gonna be very interesting. I just read that he just joined up full time with the Duke Rufus camp. Guys like Pettis, Mitrione, you know, Pat Barry. I mean, it's mainly. There's a lot of striking in that camp. If Ben Askren can get his striking up to par, he's going to be just an amazing force in the welterweight division. His wrestling, I mean, he can already take down just about anyone. But, you know, I'd like to see Ben Askren, you know, Jay Haran. I think Jay Haran, if he wins, will be a really good test for Askren, because Haran's really solid, and I'd just like to see Askren beating like a lot less prospects, a lot more veterans that are like more solid. Like Thompson, you know, he's good, he's solid enough, but like Iran, you know, he's definitely one of the more well-rounded fighters, and he still fights at a pretty high level now. So I'd like to see Haran versus Askren more so than Han versus Askren personally. So yeah, I hope to see Haran versus Askren. So yeah, that's it for my Bellator 40 and MFC 29 post-fight analysis. If you have any comments or anything, just leave them on the bottom. And yeah, that's pretty much it with MMA for you. I'll see you guys later. Thanks.